Right, just a recap really of the dollar CAD and sterling that's still running. This turned out to be a fantastic trade, but there is a caveat to it, and that's the fact that I was tucked up in bed and therefore wasn't enticed to uh, tamper with the initial thesis, because what we've actually seen was the rally, a pullback, a move up, and a massive dump into the trade, and then before taking off again. So I don't know how I might have handled that scenario psychologically had I been at the screens. Um, but as I say, set it and forget it. But that's a tricky one. Anyway, so let's just do a very quick rendition of the thesis. So um, we were looking at the day count initially. So this being Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. So Monday moved up from Friday's highs, right? So day one, and then we had day two. Day two dropped back into Monday, but it still counts as day two. Now, day three, being Wednesday, was kind of like a nothing inside bar day. So that's leading us to think that being inside, we're going to get a breakout one way or the other. And what we had was the breakout to the upside and then a dump, right? So, far as I am concerned, that remains as day three. All of this can amalgamate into, we're not talking about the day count, we're talking about the, let's not call it day one, two, and three. Let's call it stage one, two, and three. So this was stage one, stage two, all of this. So we'll box it up. Stage two, stage one, and stage three. So, and we had the capitulation there, right? So that resets us. That reset us, and we had a double bottom. So we're going to call this stage one, even though that was ending on Friday as stage three. It turns into stage one. So stage one, right? And we had the double bottom over here. And this kind of turned into a stage two. So we've got stage one on Friday, and we have stage two now on Friday. Sorry, that was Thursday. On Friday is stage two. Right. So stage two can be a breakout of stage one, and that's what basically this is based on. And it's actually run much higher than anticipated. And it was conducted during the London session, the London Open. Okay, so we're just going to take all this off the chart now that we've gone through the count stages. I didn't want to take off everything because I want my right. Now we've got this peak formation. It's like a V bottom, right? We've had in the London hours or Frankfurt, we had 1, 2, 3 15-minute bar pushes. And then we had and also we had this from Asia. Look, 1, 2, 3 into the lows, into this peak formation over here. And then we had we had like a sort of a 3-line strike, if you like, on this candle. It's a very strong bullish candle. So that enticed me to come into the market, at least from a setup perspective. So we've done that. Now we're now anticipating a break of structure. So what are we looking for? We're looking for the W formation, which we've got. We've got the pin on the right-hand side of that shoulder. We've got 1, 2, 3. Okay, well, 1, 2, 3 pushes into the peak formation over there on the 5-minute. We've got this retest of the neckline. Does it hold? Yes, it does. Breaks the structure. So if we go down to the 1-minute now, I think really this is where I should have got in, but I got in a bit higher up, I believe. But let's have a look. I can't quite remember. Now I was also taking note that we've got this trend line that we're moving up from. Now where I should have got in if I had been on the 1-minute chart was down here. We've got the W, we've got the pin, we've got the bull hammer after this retest, and this is essentially where I should have been getting in. And had I got in there, well, what a trade! And I could have had my stop below the highs, and it would have been a much better entry point. So that's something to take note of for next time. And from that point on, really, this just burst to the upside, and it was fantastic. Now I managed to get break it. I went down onto the 15-minute chart, or up to the 15-minute chart at this stage, on the basis that this wasn't coming back, and I think I waited for that structure there to break, and I was able to then move over to other dollar pairs, and I shorted shorted cable. Now, had I been in the market watching this would have been a nightmare, right? Now I might have had a trailing stop. I mean, I just don't know. I mean, this is a strategy that I'm still toying with. But the point is, I mean, this stretched right over both London and the US session. So this green line, this green marker is the London session, and this is the US session. So, I mean, I may have decided to get out at the figure and then reassess things in London, in the US, and this would have been a short in the US potentially, and then a buy back in during the equities hours, the open in New York. Who's to say how I would have reacted to that? But there would have been setups over here and over here. But now, if we bring this all the way into current time, as you can see, this darted past my take profit, and it's basically reclaimed all of that price and balance. So there we are. Now let's move over to cable. This is running nicely. It's been extremely choppy. So I say nicely, not really. It's not the explosive trades that we're looking for with this strategy. This has been a swing trade, really. But cable is a pretty tricky one. So I treated it as a swing trade. I put the stop well away from the entry. And I hadn't been able to go break even until the retests, and I moved to break even earlier today, just shortly ago actually, with this sort of build up of structure below the figure and so forth, and we remain on the backside of this trend. So and now we're a little bit steeper in that, but we're just breaking up. But let's see if this holds. Drawing this sort of trend line with a broad brush, really. There we go, something like that. So let's see if that holds. But we're at break even, and and that's it. But in terms of the entry, well, as you see, I drew that M formation, was expecting the pullback and the drop. So to reclaim this territory down into the week and daily lows, that's where the target is. You've got Thursday's low down here, and you've got last week's low over here, Friday non-farm payrolls. So I'm expecting a move back in on the other side of this trend line into here. So the entry was well, basically a complete mirror image of the of the dollar CAD trade. Really, you had peak formation on Thursday over here. We were moving into the peak formation in Asia, and then we had the breakdown, this sort of consolidative structure, and then into London. Into London, you had this sort of the stop hunt back into the structure. You've got 1, 2, 3 down into the lows, and then you've got that move up, breaking some of this structure over here, and then you had this engulfment after the first hour of Frankfurt opening, and you're thinking, well, cable was a little bit slower off the mark than the CAD, but on the break of this structure here, all of this, it's time to get involved, and I believe I waited for a pullback. Yeah, I got the pullback into the neckline of that sort of semi M, well, you've got the M formation over here, really. I think on an hourly, it was more of a defined M pattern. There we go. There was the M pattern on the hourly. Now on the 5-minute, yeah, I think I'll have to go over the prior video, and I can't remember what the entry trigger was, but it was essentially this was it was just a bearish structure, really. There was nothing bullish about any of this, and the dollar was taking off, and yeah, that was essentially the motivation to get in, and that I had gone break even on the CAD. So there we go. Now, given the volatility in cable and the fundamentals that are going on, we needed to wait with this one, and I essentially just let it run. I thought, well, if I'm gonna take a loss, I'm gonna take a loss, and I just let it run. I wanted to go to bed. It was 2 in the morning here, Central America, and there was nothing I could do. I wasn't going to sit there watching paint dry. It was a really slow burner, and it was over here somewhere that I was getting tired of monitoring this, and I hadn't reached really where I wanted it to reach to go break even. I wanted to get below 112, and it hadn't. So, I mean, it still hadn't really. Look, only until what? See, the U.S. session. So this was much more of a swing trade than what we were. Well, I was looking for the burst from the Stacey Burke strategy, but we just didn't get it. There's too much political noise going into cable. The finance minister being sacked and all that kind of stuff, and gilt market rallying, and it's just crazy what's going on. So we'll bring it into where we are. So we're at break even, and if it goes up, so be it. But I mean, it seems as though this wants to break down into into this area over here, and in drawing, let's put this to, in drawing a volume profile over the entire bullish impulse, we've got the point of control down near my target. If we can break this cluster, these highs and all this shite over here, well, we should get a quick move in and then a little bit more momentum into the take profit. 110.70, the upper quarter of the next box below. And I set the target according to, I've just put an order block finder down here, based on this order block down here. Basically the mid-range of it is where I'm located for, which was basically the catalyst structure that resulted in this rally. So not a bad place to be targeting. So we'll see how it goes. What time is it? It's midday, coming towards the end of Wall Street in about an hour's time. This might just have to be a weekend runner. I'll probably just cut it before the weekend. There's no point. There's going to be plenty of political strife in the UK over the weekend, and we could open with a massive gap to the upside. So I'll just, or to the downside, it's 50-50. But I'd rather take the money at this point. Have a good weekend.